This is Greg Fanbook, and I'm gonna share with you my journey from when when I was born till now. I actually did a speech format for this one, so let us begin. I'm Greg, and this is a journey of my life up to this point on the cusp of my 30th birthday, which is December 31st, 2020. So, when I was born, I had one leg bent out. I don't know how to properly display that. I'm not showing you my legs. um, but I was basically walking on the side of my foot at that time. So when I was really young, we got a brace for that, and I could stand properly. But not only that, the roof of my mouth was extremely deep. My tongue couldn't touch it, and because of that, the shape of my mouth didn't allow me to speak well, even though I had a very large vocabulary. I was 2 when I first went to the orthodontist, 2 years old. They had to make a mold of my mouth, and imagine a 2-year-old having paste put into his mouth and being unable to breathe while it hardened enough for them to make the mold. And case in point, this is the mold. They gave it to us. I don't know if it's gonna focus, but this is the mold. I began school at the age of 4 to help develop my speech skills, which were pretty poor at the time. I recall one day pulling the fire alarm and the fire trucks come into the school. It was a fun time. I would enter a different school at 5 when I was put into a class with other disabled kids, and I enjoyed it, but what bugged me most is I knew I wasn't like them. Not in a vain way, I just felt that disabled people should be more disabled than I was. And I had a bad leg and poor speech, and that very few people understood me. My parents thought I was autistic as well. Never considered myself disabled despite these things. And being a kid, I never spoke up. My parents were right. My mom was right. And I got that into my mindset of I shouldn't try and I'll get my way. But that's only because I allowed my parents to do the talking, mainly my mom. And being a kid, I never thought otherwise. I was brainwashed, more or less, and never knew it. I never saw it that way. Nor was I ever loved as I should have been. My dad was the opposite of my mom, letting us kids do whatever we want. Well, my mom was the iron rod. They fought in the yard, and I remember yelling at them one time to stop. But I didn't know why I wanted them to stop. And I thought they did stop arguing. Regardless, there was little love in our family during that time. It was more or less a farce, F-A-R-C-E. I got into fights during elementary school, middle school, and even high school. I felt as if I was an outcast because of the mindset that continued with me, that I could just coast along. I was still in a disabled class and took speech therapy to work on my enunciations. I still can't pronounce R's well. I need to do the vowels. Whatever. But being in the disabled class annoyed me the most. though I wasn't vocal enough about it because I still wanted to just get through school and barely passed. I think school for me was basically just the speech therapy. I don't consider my high school diploma an achievement, as I just coasted through because folks thought I was disabled and I allowed myself to think I was, and after a certain amount of time, for sure by middle school, that mindset was already like planted in me. Now, out of high school and having walked in my family's nursery, we did plants, I tried changing. I tried living with my dad, who had since divorced my mom due to the arguing and other stuff. My mom, who forced him out due to his own addiction, and living out of state with his family. I spent a few months there trying to find myself a job, finding myself a job. Thing was, I still was in the mindset of coasting. I didn't want to walk either, and got frustrated when I helped my dad with his walk. And that day, I actually decided to walk home instead of have him drive me home. So that's what I do when I get frustrated. I go for a walk. But one thing I did gain after watching a particular music video, which I'll put in the description below, remained with me, was the idea that I could change this world. I don't know why it resonated so well with me, but it was something I would repeat to myself going forward, like multiple times, not a week, but maybe multiple times a month or something. I never knew how to walk. My mom found me a job back with her, and I moved in with her once again and started walking at a place she found. Thing was, that only lasted a few months as well because I didn't like it and left without notice. I would avoid putting it on my resume and would give excuses why, because again, I was under my mom's thumb. She told me what to do, and that's how I was living before. So before I moved with my dad and then moved back. After that job, it was my aunt who got me the next job, being an in-home caretaker for disabled folks. I had the patience for it, but it wasn't more than driving them to a grocery store or just sitting at their house watching TV while waiting for them, the disabled person, to go to work. I could coast again and was making minimum wage, so around $7.50. It was around this time my own addiction got me into trouble with the police. I spent a night in jail, and it shook me to my core. I was bailed out again. Bailed out thanks again to my mom, and this was around 2013, and I was 23. Now, I already did a video previously on this, which will be in the description below, as well as one of the title cards at the end of the video. First, I was ruled incompetent. I was still able to keep my job, and a few years passed while it went through the court system. It was finally ruled that I would have 3 years probation, but as soon as I entered probation, I was let go of my previous job, and this was probably the beginning of me getting back on my own 2 feet and an awakening of sorts. So that whole system, that whole situation is what broke the previous me and began who I will be going forward. At 26, and since my mom was walking and could no longer aid me, I had to go to job recruitment places, find myself a job. We even went to try to get me a disability claim from the government, which never panned out. My mindset was could still coast even though I was looking for a job myself, kind of. I had agencies find me one, and it would last a month or a few weeks, and then it would be over. I had to walk at my mom's friend's land for $10 an hour, and even then I still didn't try that hard. You can see a pattern there. But I always envisioned that the third and final year of my probation would be great, as if I was coming out of a storm. My mom as well was trying to find a new job after closing the nursery and had been jumping jobs much like I was. The third year was great. The first few weeks of the new year I was driving around with little gas and no money trying to find the next job location I was told about through an agency, and I was unable to find it. I called them, told I wouldn't be needed the next day, and I went to a new job agency. I got a job that day and started the next week. I continued this job, but here is where the true birth of who I am now begins. This time I had built up a work ethic. By this time I had built up a work ethic from my previous experiences. I used to dread standing 8 hours, and I had to walk a few places for 12 hours even. But because of those, I was ready for the new job, and it took me a while to get comfortable there, but it was easy. I still see it as easy work. I'm paid $14 from them, and a new side of me has come out due to this job. I am happy, something which I wasn't before, and I enjoyed the people I worked with for the most part. They were funny. I began to experience traits I didn't know I had, or if I had them, I never considered them my own. I always thought I was just acting the part, ghosting still. But I embraced my sarcasm, and being a smartass, I was among people I enjoyed, not around people my mom directed me to. So in this sliver of freedom, an even greater awakening happened. I was making my own decisions. I was even telling my mom off. I do love doing that, actually. It's quite fun, even though she gets kind of annoyed, but whatever. I really don't care much for her. Making a boundary around myself because she was the cause of the majority of my issues growing up. She got me into the mindset of that I can coast, that I didn't need to do things for myself, that she would be there. But in a sense, she also wanted me to grow up, but just so she didn't have to take care of me anymore. I'm at the point where I don't need her, and in a sense that I can't consider her my family. She is toxic to me. She was toxic to her daughter and younger son as well. 3 of us all grew up with her and my dad, but being the eye on the rod gave us no love. We all just did what we were taught. My dad loosened her up some, but only to tolerate us, so the kids, the 3 of us. I don't see any true emotions from her, and I know she is the way she is because she grew up similarly to us, but I can't make her realize any of this. I have grown up, but trying to help her when she's not willing to listen is now making me cling to her, and I can't do that to myself. My past is in the past, but it has made me grow. It has made me grow so much so that I want to help others do the same. that I want to change that for other people, so they grow up properly because I didn't. That's how I find. That's how I'll find a way to change the world. Showing people who don't get love the love they need, and love is far different than lust. And our world considers lust love, and the understanding of what they've gone through, because there are more people who are hurt than there are people who are healed. They live in vanity and unaware of their own power, as I once did. I want to show people their own power. You should be selfish, because only after taking care of yourself, your own needs, you can help others, and only if they are willing to listen themselves. It's the whole leading the horse to water. You can drug them there, show them the water, splash it in their face, but they will never drink it until they are thirsty, until they want to change. I wasn't focused on I wasn't focused I wasn't focused on changing. I didn't see my journey like that. I changed because I wanted to change. I wanted a better life, and I kept pushing for it. However, unconscious and unaware I was of the fact that I was changing. And if someone who is unaware of changing themselves can, then why can't others do likewise and get themselves unstuck from being happy or in whatever struggle they are in? So, that is the entirety of the speech, inspirational speech I wrote. Hopefully people got something out of it, people watching. So, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you got inspired by it or something, and message me back with your tales of being unloved or whatever, because, I mean, if you need advice or you need help, I'm more than willing to do that for you, to give you some advice or aid in one way or another. But yeah, that's the journey of who I was and how I got to who I now am, which is very satisfying. I mean, I still need to move out, but because of previous constraints, I'm having a difficulty with that. Do what you need to do, and have a good day.